I have, thought about it in the long run, like, is this really what I'm going to be happy doing? But I've always circled back to the conclusion, I will never know if I don't try it and give my 100%.
On today's edition of Broadcast Bulletin, if you follow the industry for any length of time, I'm sure you've heard stories of a mass exodus of people from TV news. Stories of stations struggling to hire MMJs and producers for a variety of different reasons. But on the flip side, the industry might not want to throw in the towel just yet, as there's still hopeful students interested in becoming among the next generation of journalists. That's a students like Madison Moore any indication. She's a senior at Ohio University's renowned E.W. Scripps School of Journalism, where she'll be graduating in May with a bachelor's in journalism, news, and information. Madison is a regular anchor and MMJ for the campus newscast Newswatch.
Good evening, I'm Madison Moore. Welcome to Newswatch,
which airs on the PBS station serving Southeast Ohio. Also, this past summer, she interned at WTVJ, the NBC O&O in Miami, Florida.
I couldn't have asked for a more rewarding, challenging, and memorable past 2.5 months.
She's going in with her eyes wide open.
You have to be positive. You have to be like, yes, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and it's going to be a great day.
Hopeful to create a lasting legacy in an industry that she's so passionate about and still thinks has a place in this day and age. So why is a 22-year-old Gen Zer exactly interested in working in local TV news? We're talking with her about how today's journalism students perceive the industry, just as Madison gets ready to start her journalism journey. I'm Jim Stanton, your host for Broadcast Bulletin, and welcome in for episode 12, a journalism student's take on local TV news, part 1. Good morning to you, Madison. We're honored to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. That was an amazing intro.
Thank you. Spent like 5 minutes on it. All right, so let's dive right into it because we want to respect your time. So give me your story. Where did you grow up? And you had dreams of becoming an actress. You moved back home to finish high school. You had an interesting childhood. So just dive right into it. Tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia. I'm a middle child of 3 girls, which is super awesome. They're my best friends. So it was really nice growing up with them and kind of doing life with them. So my parents, my biggest blessings in life, they are the most supportive, down to earth people. I get all my strength and motivation from them. And just throughout my whole life, they've supported me in everything. And I really just can't thank them enough for, putting me in this position, because without them, I would not be here today. So yeah, they have a huge part in my upbringing and everything to do with my childhood, so to say. But yeah, fast forwarding to my acting days. I was around, I think, 11 when I started getting into the modeling and acting business. I moved out to Los Angeles with my mom and my sister around that time, and I started auditioning for, commercials and more low scale, things like that. And I ended up signing with a commercial agent, and I booked my first national commercial called La Loopsy Dolls. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that before, but it was a big doll back in the day. I was really, really ecstatic when I booked it. So yeah, that was super cool. That definitely got my start into the industry. And also during that time, I booked a pilot for Nickelodeon. It didn't end up getting picked up. It was a horseback riding show. I was the lead in it. So that was a super cool experience, just filming that and memorizing lines. So yeah, just from a young age, I definitely had a lot of responsibility under my belt, if that makes sense. I had a lot of kind of just weight on my shoulders with, I don't know, like starring in a pilot. Like that was kind of a lot at such a young age. So that definitely was an awesome experience. So that definitely started my whole love for the acting industry. And so fast forward a few years, I enrolled in a private Catholic high school. So super small, 40 kids in my graduating class. So it was definitely a good and a bad thing. We were very tight knit, but everyone kind of knew each other and what we were doing. And around that time, me and my sister started a YouTube channel called More Reality. And it was primarily based on entertainment news and hosting. We interviewed so many celebrities out in California when I lived there my sophomore year. So yeah, so transferring back to that, me and my mom moved out to LA when I was a sophomore in high school. I completely went online for high school for a whole year, had a tutor, it was just so crazy looking back. I just like really can't believe that I that I just did that with my mom. Like it's so crazy to me to this day. But during that whole year, I really honed in on that YouTube channel, on top of, going to acting classes, auditioning for major networks such as Disney and Nickelodeon and Fox. Like I was just from a young age, I was just introduced to this whole new mature world. Like everyone I was around was so beyond their years. Like I feel like I was only, 15, 16 at the time, but I felt like I was so much older just because I was immersed into this, LA culture, so to say. And so during time, me and my sister got a publicist, basically just for us to be able to get on the red carpet for, low scale movie premieres, different events that a lot of these Disney stars go to. And my love for like the whole interviewing process kind of came from that. So we'd get on the red carpet, interview, like I've interviewed Victoria Justice, a bunch of characters from Gossip Girl, just a lot of, well-known actors, Disney actors at the time. That was definitely kind of the start of my love for interviewing for people. I became very curious, which I thought was really interesting. I kind of grew into myself at that time. So yeah, so transferring back to high school. So I ended up leaving California to start back in high school my junior year. So when I got back, I had to start thinking about, college. What was the next step? Because I always knew I wanted to go to college. I just wanted to see if I can make it in acting, but it never worked out. I'm never going to give up on it. I think maybe down the line, if the opportunity ever presents itself, I would completely maybe take it. I don't think it's ever out of the question. But overall, I think my upbringing in my childhood really just like made me who I am today. I think I could get a lot of my attributes and qualities and skills and motivation. All that is just from, like I said, just like my upbringing and my childhood. I think I am who I am today through all of that.
So, at what moment exactly did you decide to pursue broadcast journalism as a career?
Right. So, as I said, when I got back to high school, it was my junior year. Yeah. So obviously at that point, you're kind of thinking, what do I want to study in college? Where do I want to go? Do I want to stay close to home? Do I want to leave? So I kind of already had that travel history, so to say. So I wasn't opposed to, staying close to home or traveling far either. So when I was thinking about, like, what do I want to do? What do I love? I thought to myself, okay, I love people. I love interviewing. I love, being in front of the camera. I'm a very creative person. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I try this whole broadcast journalism thing. So from that point on, I started looking at, multiple colleges around the country, especially with ones that had news stations on campus. Those were mainly the ones I was looking for. So I applied to Mizzou, Ohio University, Syracuse, West Virginia University, a bunch of others. And ultimately I chose Ohio University because it it was a little closer to home. It's one of the top journalism schools in the country, and it was only an hour and a half from my house. So I was like, honestly, that's kind of a no-brainer. So yeah, that's kind of the point where I wanted to go that direction.
Were you considering pursuing anything else before broadcast news?
Honestly, no. And people have asked me that before. They're like, how have you always known like you wanted to do this or pursue this career? I I say, I don't know. This has always just been my dream.
Any major differences between acting and journalism?
Oh, absolutely. So acting, on one hand, you have a ton of scripts, a ton of memorization to do. And journalism, on the other hand, you're the one finding the story. You're the creative mind behind the process. So it's very different in my opinion. A little bit of my acting background has helped me with my journalism skills now, definitely just from like improv classes, how to, create that comfortable conversation with someone, how to structure a good interview, make them feel comfortable. So I've definitely used those skills I've learned, just in my stories now, in my interview processes, even when I'm anchoring. Sometimes like the teleprompter will go down and I'll be like, oh, you just got to improv it. You got to act like it's nice. So yeah, in my opinion, both are very different.
Okay, so we have some college students who are probably going to be listening to this, obviously. Talk about some of the activities or programs that your school offers that have helped prepare you for a career in TV. And I know you mentioned that your school has a newscast, that's why you're going there. So also kind of touch on that. And was the process for getting in that pretty competitive?
Yes, absolutely. So um, I applied to Ohio University because they had a news station on campus called WOUB Public Media. And I have just heard, like when I was applying, I was doing so much research on, how many people graduated from OU, like all the Ohio University alumni, and just see where they're at and in their career. And there's so many alumni. And I was like, the successful alumni. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to be that. I want to go here. So when applying, yeah, it's a pretty big process. You gotta go through a pretty big application. So when I did get in, I was super excited because it is a pretty prestigious school. And once I got on campus my freshman year, what's really nice about WUB is that you can start right away. Like you can start volunteering right away. There's no specific time where I had to wait to get involved, which I really loved. So when I started my freshman year, I immediately wanted to, go to all the meetings, go to everything I could to, get the most experience, so to say. So I connected with a lot of people, a lot of upperclassmen, a lot of just kids my age in general. So we all were kind of like a little team. Like we all really helped each other. We started, you know, writing for the newscast. We started helping people out with their cameras, going out with them on shoots. So we definitely got in the groove pretty quickly, which was nice. But then unfortunately, COVID happened my second semester of my freshman year. So that definitely took a toll, on the learning process for me personally. But yeah, the station is all volunteer based. There are multiple professionals, that run the station, there's a news director, digital editor, all that fun stuff. But what was also really nice is when I got there, I was also learning from them personally, not just the people that were volunteering there. For example, the upperclassmen. So that was super cool and great. I feel like I was just like immersed immediately into a newsroom, which was awesome.
So you mentioned all volunteers, so you're not paid for working on that, it sounds like.
No, I was not paid and I'm currently not paid, but it doesn't really matter to me because I think it's pretty priceless, the experience I'm getting. I made a huge demo reel my junior year just from, all my footage I got over the summer because I also interned there my summer going into my junior year at WUB. So yeah, I think it's just the experience is priceless. I don't even care. I'm not getting paid because without them, I would not be where I am today. And I have a pretty big resume just from WUB itself. So that's why I'm just forever grateful.
And you're doing this all by yourself, right? Like you're shooting it. You don't work with a cameraman.
And no, it's all by myself. And from the get-go, as I said, freshman year, they said know everything, try producing, try anchoring, try reporting, learn how to edit, learn how to transfer video, learn everything, every skill. It's just so important because nowadays, you know, there are a lot of people, that want to be reporters, want to be in this industry. But at the end of the day, the people that, know how to do everything and most of the skills, it definitely gives them a leg up um, in a sense of kind of choosing where they want to be and what kind of market they want to go into.
So you know how to do it all. You know how to MMJ, you know how to produce. So you'll be pretty much an asset wherever you go, because that's pretty much the case at a lot of these smaller market stations is like, let's say you're
Absolutely.
the weekend anchor, but your station company, for whatever reason, maybe it's not in the budget for them to have a producer. So you also have to produce it. So you already have a leg up
Right.
over some of these other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've worked for it also. Like I've definitely put my time in to, learning these skills. My first internship with WUB Public Media, I was actually the AP all summer. So I
Mhm.
learned how to produce, I learned how to, export video, all that fun stuff. And then the biggest takeaway actually was learning the software system, ENPS. A lot of stations across the country use that. So
Yep.
I think that's a huge leg up for me. And I'm very comfortable with it. I know it in and out. So, say I do get a job in a few months and the software is ENPS, like I'll know it easily. So that's definitely a great plus to working at a station while in school because you're just immersed in to real life things.
So do you think the school that someone attends really matters? I mean, I've heard of people going into smaller schools, maybe ones I've never heard of before, or sometimes they don't even get a degree. They just go straight into the business from high school and they all end up making great careers for themselves. So why should someone consider going the route you went and going to a well-known and established journalism school as opposed to not going that route?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I definitely would describe my route as very traditional. I majored in broadcast journalism, got a lot of experience through my school. I don't really think it matters too much. I think if you have a drive for the industry and you want to be successful in it, you'll find a way. Like you'll find a way. So I just went, super traditional route and I think it's paid off pretty well for me so far.
Do you think hiring managers, when they get that resume, do you even think they're looking at the score? They're more focused on the candidate and their
I mean,
work.
yeah, absolutely. I think both. I think certain schools like Ohio University, EW Scripps School of Journalism, when that is put on a resume, that definitely speaks volumes just because the school has such a exquisite reputation for broadcast journalism and journalism as a whole. So yeah, I do believe when people look at my resume, I think that my school definitely stands out. But there's obviously amazing other journalism schools across the country. So yeah, I do think that's a pretty big eye catcher if you do go to a more well-known journalism school.
So let's talk about your internship with NBC6 in South Florida. So describe what your internship was like and the day-to-day of it. I mean, there's a stereotype attached to interns a lot of the time that maybe you're just getting coffee for the anchors and grabbing scripts. But I mean, you were talking to me about this internship. It didn't sound like that was the case, right? Just talk about your day-to-day. What was that like?
Yeah, so from starting from day one, I got my own camera, I got my own laptop, and funny story, my supervisor was like, okay, go out and shoot, some random footage. I just kind of want to see your camera skills, whatnot. And so I remember getting in my car and I was like, I'm so much better than this. Like, I don't need to go film like random buildings or whatnot. And so I thought to myself, what's going on? What's coming up? Like anything newsworthy. And I thought to myself, oh, it's Black Business Month here. I think it was just across the United States, I think. And so I searched up Black owned restaurants nearby. And so I ended up finding this really cool fried chicken place. And I showed up, walked in, went up to the counter, and I said, hi, I'm an intern for NBC6, and it's Black Restaurant Month, and I'm super interested in filming your restaurant. And the owner was like so ecstatic. It was more of a low-key restaurant, so he was super willing to, work with me. And so I ended up making a whole package out of it, a whole news package. And so I came back to the station. Keep in mind, this is my second day. This is my first day meeting my supervisor. So basically, I call it my first day. And he was like, oh, like, show me all your footage, blah, blah, blah. And I said, actually, like, I have something a little better. I kind of created this whole news story. And he was just so blown away. And I was like, yeah, like I came here to work. Like I'm taking this whole summer very seriously. And from that day forward, he was just like, you're something else. Yeah. So from that point forward, it was kind of up to me. I made my own hours. I got a list of reporters' numbers and names, and I kind of just went at it. Like every day, I would try to go out with a different reporter, a different photographer. Sometimes I would have to drive myself. Sometimes I would be able to ride with a photog. So it was kind of just whatever was comfortable for them because, I wasn't technically an employee. So it was a little touchy on the driving situation. But yeah, like every day was just a new adventure for me. I would go to like downtown Miami and cover, like a crime story, or I would go to way down south of Miami and cover a veterinarian mobile unit that was helping animals. Like I definitely just got a huge sense of the culture down there. It was just like a whirlwind, to be quite honest. Like I had the most amazing time every day. Like I remember waking up every day just being like so and blessed to just like be there in general. So like I said in the beginning, I told myself I'm going to make the most of it. Every day I'm going to grind. Every day I'm going to get some sort of footage if I could. So basically my day-to-day life was basically just like shadowing reporters, doing stand-ups, and then occasionally I would turn some reporters' packages to my own package. So I would use their video, but I would write their story in my own way, if that makes sense. And so you did a lot of those, and a lot of those will be on my new demo reel, applying for jobs in a few months. So yeah, overall, my day in the life was shadowing reporters, going out in the field, anchor training with the anchors at NBC6, producing, doing some dirty work, getting waters here and there for events and stuff. But yeah, mostly it was just on my own time and what I wanted to get out of it. From day one, they were like, we're not going to hold your hand. This is not a hold your hand internship. Like you're going to spread your wings and fly. And I told myself, that's what I'm going to do. And I did. So it was absolutely an amazing summer. I will never forget it.
So how did you get that opportunity? Did you go out and apply for it yourself, or did you have a friend there maybe you say, hey, you should come check this place out? How did that come up?
Actually, no, it was all by myself. I was on the NBC website and I was scrolling, and then all of a sudden I see um, MMJ position, Miramar, Florida, NBC 6, South Florida. And I was like, whoa, okay, like this could be cool. So I applied for that, submitted a cover letter, resume, demo reel, basic stuff. And then I got another email saying I got approved for the second round of interviews, which was an automated interview. And I kid you not, I was so afraid because you get one shot, those automated ones, you get 10 questions, 30 seconds to read the prompt, think of an answer, and speak. Like the camera just goes. So you just have to, you have to be ready. And I remember at the end of it, I was like, oh gosh, like I don't know how I did. I wasn't like too hard on myself, but I definitely was like, okay, that's the best I could do. So later on, a few weeks later, I get a call from my HR person, Eileen, and she basically offered me the position, and I was so ecstatic and shocked that I got it. I think I'm just super hard on myself, so sometimes I don't really give myself that much credit for these types of things. So that was super awesome.
So your voice is really good. It's resonant. You don't have any accent. So did you take any classes in school or during your acting years to help with voice and diction, or are you just observing how others talk? Because I've noticed, I was watching some of your anchoring. It doesn't really sound like you have that news voice that so many people kind of are notorious for.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. No, just to answer, I have never had coaching on my voice. I am from West Virginia, so my parents both have like a little bit of accents, and my sisters have a little bit of an accent, but I have weirdly just never had one. Um, I've always been the odd one out, I would say, with that. But yeah, it's definitely helped me, in my career so far. So that's super cool. Um, but yeah, going back to the anchor voice, like obviously you can practice that type of specific voice, but I'm always one to talk like I'm talking to my friend, talking to, you know, someone I know. And I think that's what really gravitates people towards you when you are an anchor. So yeah, like I'll definitely, practice that anchor voice, but still, be me, show me through that, so to say, if that makes sense.
All right. Yeah, it does. So have any of your professors ever talked about getting an agent? Do you plan on getting one?
Not my professors specifically, but some of my mentors when I was out in Miami doing my internship there, they mentioned an agent, but they kind of mentioned to get one, later on in your career when you really need some help to find those specific jobs. But right out of the gate, I don't plan on getting one. I think I'm just gonna fend for myself.
All right, here's a question you said you really like. So, was
Mhm.
clothing, wardrobe, and overall on-air appearance, including hair and makeup, was that ever something that was touched on in your classes? What advice were you given? I know your wardrobe, that's something, or just your makeup, or how you look. So, people are very critical. Some viewers, they might be compelled to send you an email saying, "Oh, your outfit looked terrible," which they shouldn't be doing that. But were you given any advice on kind of just building up a great wardrobe? Maybe what kind of shirts or colors you should buy? Or is that something you kind of just came up with on your own?
Yeah, so not specifically, no one really told me, like wear this, wear that, wear this. I kind of um looked myself. I obviously watch the news, and I watched a lot of my upperclassmen when they anchored, and I was like, oh, that looks really nice on them. Like maybe I'd wear that, or in a different color, like colors that suit me. So no, not specifically, but that is a good question because I think that should be more addressed in classes and stuff. Because especially if you do want a career being on air talent, I think that's something to definitely hit on.
So this kind of dovetails with the next part because I know you've mentioned that's kind of been a theme with you is being authentic and being yourself. So
Mhm.
what will your approach to social media be? Do you plan on having like separate news accounts and keeping your personal life kind of just to yourself, private? Or do you kind of plan on, kind of putting yourself out there, kind of letting viewers kind of take a look at your life off the set? How do you plan on going about that?
That's actually a really great question. I plan on keeping it on one specific channel, or so to say. Yeah, like Instagram, one Instagram page, one Facebook page, one Twitter page, one TikTok page. I think what's really cool, about being like an on-air personality, people like to relate to you. People like to, see your life. And I think that's what makes you so relatable to viewers. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep it on one and just show them my personal life also, because why not? Because I also, follow a lot of anchors and reporters, and the ones I relate to most, they show what they do during the day, what coffee order they get. Like, I definitely want to be someone people and like younger girls can look up to. So yeah, I think one channel, one page, that's what I'm going for.
Come watch me anchor a live newscast. I got to the newsroom around 5, and then I talked to my producer, looked over my scripts, and then I headed over to the audio booth where I recorded headlines and then sent them to our editor. And then we got up to the studio where we highlighted and organized our scripts for the show, just in case the prompter didn't work. And then here's the intro to our show. Good evening, I'm Madison Moore.
And I'm Silver Barker. Welcome to News Watch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio.
I got home around 8, and then I made a lemon parmesan chicken salad with chicken, onion, avocado, cucumber, bell pepper, and then I poured some garlic impressions on the chicken. Bye, guys.
So did you have any anchors or reporters you grew up watching, either locally in Charleston or at the network level, you've always admired or maybe helped influence your decision to pursue television?
Absolutely. Actually, we have a family friend. She was an anchor for WSAZ Charleston. Her name's Amanda Barron, and I've looked to her for years. Oh my gosh, years. Probably since I was 15 and I'm 22. So yeah, about 7 years looking up to her. She's an anchor, amazing reporter. And growing up, I was like, oh my gosh, like I love her. Like, I love everything about her. I want to be her, essentially. So yeah, she was definitely a great role model for me. She's still, I literally texted her yesterday about coming to her station next week just to say hi, just to meet some more people. Yeah, she has definitely mentored me a little bit. So yeah, that's definitely someone I really look up to.
All right. So we've talked about why you want to enter the industry. So do you have any reservations or apprehensions about entering the industry? Have you been made aware of the sacrifices you'll have to make, such as working odd hours, missing family or friends, special events, holidays? Has your family been pretty supportive? I mean, you mentioned they have, or maybe they're like, maybe you should consider, being something else, more normal hours. How's that been?
Absolutely. I think I've come to the conclusion that the first, 1 to how many years before, like I make that big break, I'm going to have to grind. I'm going to have to put in the work, the extra hours, wake up at 3 a.m. to report at 5 a.m. for a morning shift. So yeah, I definitely have some anxiety about that a little bit. So I'm here for the grind. I'm ready for the grind. I feel like my whole life I've been working towards things. So yeah, this is really nothing new to me. I'm expecting the work and the hard work and the odd hours, and missing Christmas or missing my sister's birthday or something. Like, I've come to the conclusion that those sacrifices are worth getting to where I want to be in the long run.
So do you have any concerns about the money, the pay, the salaries you might be making your first marker, the fact that you're going to live wherever the best job avails itself in?
Absolutely. I think, it's always in the back of everyone's mind. Money puts food on the table, a roof over your head. So absolutely, I'm, a little nervous for that, the first few years. But as I said, it's not going to be a forever salary. That low salary is not going to be what I'm making in 10 years. I guarantee it. So I am just supporting myself. So I feel like I will be able to get through that. Even if it's super low pay, I'm anticipating on it. So I'm not going in blind thinking, I'm going to make, a lot of money right out of the gate, because that's just not the reality of it. So yes, I do have reservations, but then again, I can't really do much about it. I can try as hard as I can to, start in a better place, in a better market, but still I'm new. I'm so young. People aren't going to pay me that much right out of the gate, and that's okay.
So how do you feel about the options in front of you as you do look for your first job? Do you feel like you're potentially going to have more choices in terms of the first markets that you work in compared to maybe just 5 or 10 years ago? Because you and I have been talking, you mentioned that you've had some interest before from some stations. These aren't places in the middle of nowhere.
It's definitely looking good right now. I don't really have too much anxiety about, if I'm going to get a job. It's just the matter of, is it the right fit? Am I gonna, be swallowed into the station right away? Like, am I going to be trained right out of the gate? So those are definitely some of the questions I have for these news directors, when I do interview with some soon. So yeah, it's looking good. I'm excited. I have a lot of hope. So that's all I really can ask for.
I'm curious what you've heard from your peers, recent graduates who've broken in, and even from some of your professors about the state of the industry right now. What is it that you're hearing? Do you feel like you're going into this business with a realistic idea of the state that it's in and the expectations that it's going to have of you?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel like I have a realistic expectation going into the business right now. I am still in contact with multiple newish reporters that have started, in recent years. And, they always tell me, it's a grind. It's some days are better than others. Some days you get help, some days you're by yourself, all that stuff. So I definitely know what I'm getting into. The industry as a whole is just very, like, as I said, cutthroat. You're a one-man band most of the time, if you are an MMJ. So I think I just have realistic expectations going into it because I know what to expect, to say the least. I think the main thing they've been telling me is, be very smart about where you go in the beginning, because that's going to set the tone for the rest of your career.
How do you figure out where you should go? How do you know what you're going to get into? Isn't that kind of difficult?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely am curious to see, where I do end up. I think I'm going to get a really good feel, for the interview, for the place. Hopefully I can go and, see the station and see the people, before I accept the offer. So I think one thing about me, I'm a good reader of people. I think once I know I'm comfortable and um I feel, you know, I feel appreciated, I feel wanted. Like, I think that's going to be a great realization when I do accept a job, because I think I'm going to really, um, you know, feel like it's my home, so to say. I remember when I was a freshman, I looked up to um, like 3 to 5 seniors. They were so good, so talented. They had like the world at their feet. They had so much content, great reels. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people are going to be so successful. But guess how many people out of those 5 are not even in the business anymore? And this was what, 3, 4 years ago?
Uh,
4 people out of the 5 left the news industry as a whole. And so I was definitely like a little taken back by that, because I was like, oh my gosh, like it sucks knowing that, the career you're about to pursue, a lot of people are leaving. But, you know, I just have to keep in mind, like, I'm not them. I'm my own person. I'm going to give it 100% effort towards, my goals. So I've kind of come to the conclusion, if I do give my all and um, I don't really like it at the end of the day, like, I won't pursue it anymore. But I just have to keep in mind that I got to block out the noise, and I got to, keep my head on straight and really, focus in the beginning. Because if you don't know your limits and you are uncomfortable in certain situations in the beginning, it can alter, your overall, and it could force you to leave the business. So I think, just from what I've heard from peers, from my professors, you really got to know your limits and know, where you stand in the beginning, because that can really determine how successful you're going to be.
So I don't want to do anything to ruin the glow around you because you're pretty optimistic about it. You know what you're getting into, but I'm curious to what extent you're familiar with the level of attacks, personal attacks, online attacks that journalists have been subject to. I'm sure you know the political ones, like your fake news, your enemy of the people, all that. I mean, reporters have been on air. They've been accosted by people while doing live shots. I mean, you deal with viewers sometimes. They're sending you, especially as a woman, I can't imagine the stuff you have to deal with, like, men sending you creepy DMs and stuff like that. I mean, maybe someone didn't like what you're wearing. Are you concerned about what you're seeing in terms of journalists being targeted and the abuse they tend to be suffering? And has that ever entered to your awareness?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Especially like you said, like being a female reporter going into the business, I feel like I already have like a small target on my back, so to say. But I think anyone entering this cutthroat of a business, you have to have thick skin. You have to know when to, listen to a situation or a comment or, a hate comment in one ear out the other. You have to know, when that's necessary. And I think that's just super important, realizing going into this, because not everyone's going to like you, not everyone's going to like what you wear. Not everyone's going to approve of your story you do. But at the end of the day, my goal is just to be unbiased as unbiased as I can, and, just report the news. And if you don't like me, you don't like me, but I'm definitely going to put myself in situations where, I don't get hate. I'm never going to put myself in a situation where, I'm looking for that attack or personal attack. So, but then again, that also goes back to the question of, are you going to, keep your personal life and professional life separate or together? And I've kind of come to the conclusion that I want to keep it together. So yeah, I definitely have to just be more aware of what I post, but, still be me and still live my life for me, not everyone else. Like, yes, I'm going to be a reporter and an anchor, but um, you just got to have thick skin. And if they want to hate on you, that they hate on you.
Now, I'm curious your thoughts about this because this happened actually a year ago in your home market. Do you think the business and news directors take the safety of their journalists seriously, or they're making an attempt to? Because I'm sure you're aware of the MMJ in Huntington, West Virginia area doing her live shot at night and got hit by a car live on the air. Do you think, I mean, that went viral. Do you think stations are doing what they can to prioritize safety? I mean, we've heard of people having live shots hijacked, as I just mentioned. You're a woman. There's unsavory characters out there who, they see you and they might want to do something else, and you're just trying to do a job. Does the thought of going out and doing your own live shots, maybe without a photographer, because as MMJ you don't have one, or a second person there to kind of help protect you, does that scare you at all? You might be going to bad neighborhoods. You might have to knock on a door of a possible criminal because, your assignment editor or whatever says, this is where the story is. You got to go there. I mean, what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Going back to your first question, I do think news directors and stations, prioritize their employers' safety. I don't think, like, obviously they don't want anything bad to happen to the reporters or MJs out in the field. And the incident with that reporter in West Virginia last year, that was awful. I watched it so many times. But then again, you definitely have to be in a semi, safe spot that's not near the road, that's not near, you know, certain things. So you definitely have to be aware of your surroundings. So I think, going into my job, and if I am in a scary situation, I think I just, definitely need to just watch my surroundings, and worst case, if something does bad happen, it happens and I'll learn from it. But yeah, that definitely does scare me. I'm definitely a like tinier woman that's, could be out in a bad area. So, I just got to be careful, and that's all I can really say about that.
So I'm definitely interested in knowing what you think about the current form of the TV newscast itself. I mean, you probably go on YouTube, you watch one from the 1980s and you watch one from today, and it's similar product. I mean, is this something that you're personally watching as a consumer, as a 21, 22-year-old? And when you do watch it and you look at it, are there any changes that you would make? What seems antiquated to you? What doesn't seem to be cutting it anymore? Or where we are as news consumers now, we have news literally in our pocket. I mean, do you think stations are doing anything to reach that younger audience? I mean, why are most people your age? Why aren't they even sitting down at 6 o'clock every night watching the news anymore?
Absolutely. Yes, me as a consumer, I love the news. I watch it, I would say a frequent amount. Like at home right now, like I usually have WSAZ News Channel 3 on like all day. I get my news from obviously social media, TikTok. I think, like you said, you know, nowadays news has been, you know, transferred to TikTok, to Instagram Reels. Like there's, for example, over the summer when I interned for NBC6 South Florida, one of the anchors, Roxy, she does a segment on Instagram and they also post on TikTok, like the daily rundowns of like the top 5 stories. And I think that really attracts the younger audience because it's quick, she does it in, 1 to 2 minutes, summarizes it up, and, they get their national news for the day or their local news for the day. So I definitely think that stations are adapting to the change, to social media changes. But yeah, if I would change anything about, broadcasting, I don't even know. I think they do a good job of being the news. Like, I don't think news will ever go away. There's all these streaming platforms like Hulu and like Netflix, all these other great streaming sites, but I don't think they can do news like how news can do, if that makes sense. Like no one can be them, like their news. Like they have that team behind them. They have all the producers, the editors, the reporters. Like there's no one that can ever do what they do. So I don't really know what they would change. Like, I guess, marketing more towards the younger audience. But I think what I've seen, a lot of stations, have been going to TikTok, going to Instagram, and making shorter videos that, the younger audience gravitates towards. So yeah, I definitely think that they're doing a good job right now.
So as we've touched on, lots of industry professionals are looking to leave or have already left the business in great numbers since the start of the pandemic. It's often called the Great Resignation. And I know you mentioned, 4 out of 5 seniors you looked up to at Ohio, they already quit the business. I mean, has that dampened your spirits at all or made you question your career path? Has there ever been a point where you've thought about changing your major, or do you feel like you made the right choice? You're going into the right business?
Absolutely. I hear so many opinions all the time from different industry professionals, alumni, students I'm friends with. You know, I have, thought about it in the long run. Like, is this really what I'm going to be happy doing? But I've always circled back to the conclusion, I will never know if I don't try it and give my 100%. So no, I've never wanted to switch my major, but I've definitely had doubts, but I just keep picking myself back up to the point where, I got to be strong. I have to give my all, something, I see myself doing. So yeah, I'm excited, and I am a very positive thinker, as you said earlier. And I think that speaks such volumes in this industry. Like, you have to be positive. You have to be like, yes, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and it's going to be a great day. Like, you kind of just have to have that attitude to be successful in this industry. Like, every day is going to be hard, but if you're working towards a specific goal, like it'll make it so much more worth it once you finally get there.
So looking back on your 18-year-old self entering school versus yourself now, in your 4 years since, what are the key takeaways you've learned about news going in that you never realized?
Yeah, so I think just like news in general, I didn't realize how much work goes into, being a reporter, being an anchor, being a producer. I think just the key takeaway I've learned is that it's hard work. Like I didn't expect to like learn as much as I did regarding like certain positions such as producing or MMJing or reporting or anchoring. It's very it's very detailed, and I wish I knew more of the extent when I started college.
So, what is your own advice for someone looking to follow in your footsteps? Maybe they want to go into TV. I mean, what advice would you give them? What advice do you hold close to your heart that even you yourself, you're going to be following when you go into that business?
Absolutely. I think one of my biggest pieces of advice: be an information sponge. Soak up as much information from colleagues, from students, from supervisors, from mentors, from alumni. I think the more information you know, the more you will be able to utilize that and go farther in your career. I think I didn't utilize that enough my freshman year. Like, of course, like I made connections and whatnot, but I definitely could have made more. And I think that would just be my biggest piece of advice for someone entering, because it's such a grind. Like it's nothing is going to be handed to you. And it's tough, but you kind of just gotta, get over that hump of thinking you're annoying or thinking, oh, you don't want to bother anybody. But people are here to help you, and people want you to succeed, because this business is just such a cutthroat type of industry where, people, I don't even know how to explain this, but people are just so, passionate about what they do. I think they're just always here to help younger people. Like, I don't think I've ever reached out to someone and they've told me they can't help me, especially like OU alumni. OU alumni has a huge force behind them with helping, current students, current graduates. So that's something, I also loved going into school, because I knew like they just had so many connections that could help me.
As you get ready to enter the business, what do you want people to most remember about your work and you as a person? What do you want your legacy to be as you go into the business and create that legacy?
Yeah, so I really want people to see me as not only an unbiased reporter, but like a friend. Like, I want people to feel like they know me. I think that's the beauty of, being an on-air personality, is like you're your own authentic self. And I don't know, for me personally, like I love to relate to different reporters and anchors, and my biggest goal would just for people to, see me as a friend, see me as someone they can rely on, giving them their news in a great way. So I think, yeah, that's definitely one. And, I want also people to know me for like my creativity, the way I tell stories, the way I communicate to the audience. So yeah, I just think I just want people to genuinely, you know, see me.
So, as you mentioned, Charleston, West Virginia is your hometown, probably not a city on a lot of people's radars. I mean, I'll be honest myself, I don't know much about it other than it being the capital of West Virginia. But if someone
Yeah.
happens to find themselves there, what are some hidden gems and must visit attractions there, either in the city of Charleston itself, or if maybe they just want to go to West Virginia, what are some places they have to go to?
Yeah, okay. So if you're really into outdoors and you like the water, I would definitely go to the New River Gorge and go whitewater rafting. They also have zip lining and like jungle gym type of things where you can like race and you can like compete with people. So it's definitely like a fun outdoor spot. Obviously West Virginia is known for their mountains, their gorgeous trees. So it's definitely a great time to visit there in the spring or the fall. That's when it's like most pretty in my opinion. Some other places, I don't know, just like it's just so beautiful here. Like Charleston in itself is the capital city where I live. has a great downtown area, a lot of like cool restaurants, breweries, very happening in this part of West Virginia. There's also the Greenbrier. It's located on a golf course, and it's a super nice resort. If you ever want to go there and relax and get a massage or something. So yeah, overall, West Virginia is just a very chill state, in my opinion. It's just beautiful, and I've really loved growing up here.
Well, I always love to talk about food here. What are some of those restaurants or breweries people should visit if they're there?
They should visit Fife Brewery downtown, which is super good. Some restaurants include like Secret Sandwich Society. That's super close to the New River Gorge. It's a great sandwich shop, and all their sandwiches are named after old presidents, which is super cool. And then a few restaurants downtown. This restaurant called Hale House, 1010, Ellen's Ice Cream. There's a bunch of like local cool restaurants, Lola's Pizza, you name it, bunch of stuff.
So before we let you go, we always play, I told you about this, we always play a game with our guests called 20 Questions. To start, what is your favorite color?
Yellow.
Where were you born?
Charleston, West Virginia.
How many siblings do you have?
2 sisters.
Hobbies in your spare time?
Tennis, shopping, watching TV, playing with my dogs, hanging with friends.
Do you have any pets?
Oh yes, I have actually I have one dog right now. My other one actually passed away a few months ago.
Oh,
I always say dogs because they were like a package deal, but they were 2 Shih Tzus, but I have one black Shih Tzu left. Her name's Magic.
So what is your favorite TV show?
Right now would have to be Suits.
Favorite type of music?
Pop, R&B.
Favorite movie?
Cheaper by the Dozen. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
What is your favorite book?
The Nickel Boys.
Your favorite cartoon growing up?
Fairly Odd Parents.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Fall.
If you could travel anywhere, where would you go and why?
So many places. Probably Italy. I've been to Paris once a few years ago, and I really like Europe. So I like pasta. So Italy.
So what is your favorite food?
I'm gonna make this easier on myself. My favorite cuisine would be Asian food.
Favorite adult beverage?
Good glass of red wine. I'm a sucker for it.
If you're an ice cream flavor, what would you be and why?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I would be some type of like sherbet because I feel like I have a lot of different layers. I don't know. I just feel like I'm a mixture of a bunch of stuff.
Who is your first celebrity crush?
Oh, I would have to say Justin Bieber. I know that's so cliche, but that's definitely like the first thing that comes to mind.
Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest?
Beyonce. I love Beyonce. I feel like she'd be such a fun dinner guest.
What was your first ever job?
I was a waitress at a country club during high school.
All right, what is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is when you're having a conversation with someone and you say something and they just completely disregard it and start talking about themselves.
And then finally, what's one thing most people would be surprised to learn about you?
I'm just like so uncoordinated. I can't dance, I can't sing, like I'm not anywhere musically talented. Like I have no skills in that sense.
So if any of our listeners want to connect with you, maybe they want advice on a college journey or first job, or if a news director wants to maybe hire you, where's the best place for someone to connect with you?
I'm definitely going to be super active on TikTok when I do get my first job. So definitely there. It's definitely going to be a good inside scoop of, my day and what I do at the station, wherever station I end up. So definitely TikTok. I'm a big Instagram girl. So Instagram and both of those usernames are just Madison T Moore. And then Twitter. I'm going to get more active on Twitter.
What is your Twitter?
That's a New Year's resolution. Madison T Moore with 2 E's.
All right. So this is a great conversation. You're an attuned student of the current state of TV news and you approve of it. So that's good. That's pretty refreshing. A lot of people,
Absolutely.
again, as I've said at the beginning, maybe they had some reservations about it, but we did talk to someone today who is definitely still interested in it despite everything that's been happening. So it was great talking with you. If any GM or news director is watching this, you need to snap Madison up fast before someone else does, because it's a very, very optimistic, wide-eyed view of TV news. Obviously, she would be an asset to your station. Someone who wants to be in TV for sure. Well, I wish you nothing but good luck to you in your job search. And hopefully, whenever you have landed, maybe we can invite you back and you can update us.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to come back on. Thank you so much for having me, and I really had a great time.
Hello, all from the future. As you all know, the news world changes so fast. This is not an old interview by any means. We originally recorded this back in early January, and by the time you're going to see or hear this, it will be late April. And Madison was, and for now, still is a senior at Ohio University. She hasn't quite finished her final semester, and when we recorded this, she hadn't started it yet. Obviously, a lot has transpired since then, so I felt it was best to follow up with her to update us all on what has happened since January in her own words. Let her tell you what is next for her. So welcome back, Madison. How have you been?
Thank you so much for having me again. I've been great. How are you?
And I'm great, thank you. So let's get right to the point. So talk about what's next for you post-graduation.
Absolutely. So I recently just accepted a on-air reporter position with WRIC TV 8 News in Richmond, Virginia.
So just tell us more about the role. What will you be doing there? Who owns that station? What network are they affiliated with? Just kind of dive into all of that for us, for the people who maybe aren't familiar with that station.
Absolutely, yes. So it is a Nexstar owned company, and I will be a dayside Monday through Friday reporter. And regarding just like what I'll be covering, it's definitely going to be breaking news, harder news. But I also will have the opportunity to pitch my own stories, which is super exciting. So that's definitely what I'll be doing.
So about how long ago did you sign the contract with the station?
I signed over a month ago. It was around the beginning of March 5th-ish.
All right, okay, so March 5th. You put your reel out in late February. About how long after posting that did news directors start reaching out to you?
I want to say the day I posted it. It was a very fast turnaround, which I anticipated. I also put my reel into the Gray portal. Gray is also a parent company that owns a lot of stations nationwide. And I think immediately when I posted it to that specific website, news directors started coming into my inbox. I want to say immediately. Yes. So pretty much right when I posted it.
Okay, so how exactly did the Richmond opportunity specifically come about? Because that's the one you're taking. About how long after you posted your reel did they reach out to you?
I want to say around 2 weeks after I posted my reel. And funny story, actually, when the news director reached out to me, he said he saw me through or found me through a connection. And turns out the station I interned with last summer, NBC6, one of their current anchors used to work for the WRIC TV in Richmond. And I got a message from one of my supervisors, and he was like, I heard you're up for a job in Richmond. And I was like, oh, I'm not up for a job, but I did get an email from the news director. So long story short, I interviewed with the Richmond news director, and he told me that whole story. So I thought that was a super cool coincidence.
So are you saying in a way that your internship in Miami, which we've talked about in our previous interview, did that kind of help play a role in you landing with ABC8 in Richmond?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think he reached out to the anchor herself, and then the anchor talked to my supervisor and put in a great word. So that was definitely a really cool coincidence, as I said.
So did you have any other serious offers from any other stations? Now, you don't have to name them, obviously, but do you have any other serious offers on the table before you chose to accept the Richmond opportunity?
I did actually. I had a great offer from one of my hometown stations, and it was a great offer. I think when it came down to it, it was the hours and the certain position. So I just kind of had to think to myself, okay, what suits well with me? What fits best with me? Do I want to stay at home? There was a lot of factors that played into it, but I ultimately decided on Richmond because of just the overall feeling I got.
Was Richmond the largest market that reached out to you, or were there other larger markets that had some interest?
This was the largest market. It's market 56 nationwide, so that was definitely a cool factor.
Did that play a role in you accepting the job in Richmond at all?
Not particularly. I told myself when I started this job, I'm not gonna solely look at market size. The higher market, the more photographer opportunities you have, meaning, like during your week, during your job, um, those higher up markets definitely have more photographers to help you out during the week. So that was definitely, an upside for sure.
So why did you ultimately decide on Richmond specifically? What appealed to you about the station and the
Yeah,
newsroom?
so what I told myself is when I did get offers and I did interview with certain stations, I definitely looked at their specific newscast. Does this fit with my vibe? Does it fit with my storytelling? Do I look like I fit in basically? And definitely I got that feeling immediately when I interviewed with the news director. He was awesome. Just I don't know, just the overall feeling of the news director I really liked. And then I ultimately ended up going to visit the station before I signed the contract. And when I visited, I got an even better feeling just from the producers to the assistant news director to the anchors to the reporters, the photographers. So I definitely was really happy that I visited because I think it gave me that extra push and that extra, okay, I really like this place and I think I want to accept here.
What went into your decision? Were you looking at location, company, culture, pay? What all factored in for you in selecting jobs? Now, were you pretty picky when you were looking?
I was pretty picky regarding that hometown offer. Obviously, it was a great offer and it was in my hometown and I really really loved them. So location definitely had a play after I got the hometown offer because I was thinking to myself, okay, do I want to stay at home? Do I want to go to a different city and try something new? I actually got another offer in the Midwest. And then the location also had to play in that because I was like, do I want to be, 10 plus hours driving distance from my parents, from my siblings? And ultimately the location was the ultimate decision declining that offer. And then the Richmond offer came on the table, and it's only 4.5 hours from my hometown where my parents live. So I was thinking to myself, 4 hour drive, that's not that bad if I did want to go home for the weekend. So that was definitely another factor in me choosing Richmond because it was closer to home. Yeah, so location definitely had a play, salary had a play. And then basically just the people had to play. I think I'm very um intuitive to conversations and listening to what they have to say and what they have to offer. So yeah, just the people, location, and the salary were definitely the top three factors in making my final decision.
Okay, are you surprised you found something as quickly as you did? Or did you think it was going to take longer?
Honestly, no, it was actually the same pace I anticipated it. I knew it would be a really fast turnaround because any offer you get, they really want you to accept, decline, or let them know within a week or two. And when I did have those offers before Richmond, I definitely had to, you know, take time into consideration because they were obviously waiting on a response from me. And then when I got the Richmond offer, obviously I declined the other offers. But yeah, I was not surprised at all. I knew it would be a really, really fast turnaround. Um, so yeah.
Did you feel any nervousness as you were looking for a job at all?
Absolutely. I think in the beginning I was like, okay, where am I going to end up? I don't really care where I end up, so to say. I was pretty open to anything. And so when I did get that hometown offer, I was like, gosh, that's such a great opportunity. Um, so yeah, I think it just depends. Yeah, but I was pretty nervous about obviously, where am I going to end up for the next 2 or 3 years. So
anyone's advice you sought before you chose to accept the offer from Richmond?
Yes, so one of my friends, she's a reporter in Cleveland, and I called her before I accepted the Richmond offer, and she basically was just like, all right, what's your gut feeling? Obviously, which newscast do you like the most? Which one do you see yourself watching the most? Where do you see yourself fit in? And so I think when I was answering those questions out loud to her, she really opened my mind and really kind of helped me make that decision, which was really great. I needed someone to like just ask me those hard questions on the fly, and just, then I just kind of went with my gut, and that was my gut feeling.
Now, how have your family and friends felt about you taking this opportunity? Have they been supportive at all, or have they tried to steer you in a different direction?
Oh no, they've been so supportive. Obviously, my parents like would have loved if I came home, but they totally understand and support the decision I made, and they're so happy for me. And my mom's best friend is actually she lived in Richmond for a really long time. So she was like, it's a great area. And that was before I visited. And then when I visited, I was like, oh my gosh, I can really see myself here. I love the people. Everyone's so nice. The areas were so great. So when I visited, as I said, I definitely got that feeling. And my parents also got that feeling too, which was also amazing.
Do you feel any excitement or nervousness basically starting your life on your own without your family and them being hours away from you?
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to have to get used to being by myself for longer than 3 months, because my internship last summer, I was by myself. So I kind of have a little feeling of what that feels like. But going forward, I have to think, all right, there's no more college. There's no more college best friends there to be with me. So I'm definitely nervous about that aspect. But I think I'm ready regarding college. I think I'm ready to leave, but sad to go, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm definitely nervous, but I think my excitement outweighs that.
All right, we talked about this at the beginning. Let's expand more on your role with 8 News in Richmond. So you mentioned you're going to be working dayside there. Will you be working a specific beat? Are you going to be doing general assignments? Are you going to be doing investigative? What are you going to be doing there specifically?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm a dayside Monday through Friday reporter. I don't have a specific beat, but the news director kind of told me, just kind of be ready for anything. So definitely just breaking news and harder news. Dayside's pretty rough. So I think I'm gonna have to, prepare myself for those harder stories and those longer days. But as I said, I also get to pitch my own story ideas. So who knows? Kind of just depends on the day, if that makes sense.
Now, will you be working with a photographer, or will you be MMJing your stuff there in Richmond?
So it's kind of a mix of both. I'm going to be, editing my own packages, my story packages every day. But sometimes I will get a photographer, whether that's Monday through Friday or 2 days a week. So it kind of just depends on who needs what. And, if it's breaking news and I have to go live, more than likely I will get a photographer. But worst case scenario, I don't. But I'll definitely put myself in a situation where I am safe. And if I do feel uncomfortable, I will speak up. But yeah, photographers are definitely highly likely I will get.
All right, perfect. So were you familiar with Richmond at all before you took this job? Had you ever even been there? I know you mentioned visiting the station, but before that, had you ever been to Richmond at all?
No, that's why I wanted to visit so bad, because I was like, okay, before I accept this 2-year contract, I really want to go visit, the area and see the station. But as I said, my mom's really good friend, she grew up there and had her kids there, so she definitely put in a great word before I visited.
Have you started the process of finding any housing in Richmond and familiarizing yourself with the area?
Yes, when I visited, I actually talk with my parents, and we were like, okay, we need to go look for apartments, just because obviously I'm graduating in May, so I don't really have too much time to take off to go visit. So we actually found a great apartment, and I'm actually in the midst of signing the lease, so that's super exciting also.
All right, so do you know when you'll be starting at ABC 8 and when Richmond viewers should be able to see you on the news there?
Yes, so I start June 5th, and the news director told me that I'm at least going to get on air at least one time that week, whether that's something small or if I go full force package wise, I don't know. I guess I'll just feel it out. But yes, expect me to be on air that week at some point.
All right, when do you officially graduate? How long is the turnaround going to be from when you graduate to when you officially start in Richmond?
Yeah, so I graduate May 6th, so three-ish weeks. So sad. And then I planning on moving in May 27th. So about 3 weeks until I move there, and then another week till I start June 5th.
All right, not too rushed. So you have some time to get settled in, it sounds like.
Exactly. I'm definitely happy I have those few weeks to chill, pack, move, and everything like that. So
All right, this was something I was personally curious about. You mentioned in our original interview that you used ENPS on campus. Does your new station that you're going to, do they use that at all?
yes, they do. They use the same editing software, Adobe Premiere, and they use ENPS. So when I heard that, I was like, this is amazing. I'm so happy. So obviously, so that's actually another reason why I'm so excited just to start too, because I'm not going to have to learn anything new right out of the gate. I'm already going to be familiar with, the software and the editing software, which is absolutely amazing. I couldn't ask for anything better.
All right, what are you looking forward to most about this new opportunity?
I'm just looking forward to my growth as a journalist. I think I'm so excited and I'm so ready to get my feet wet and, cover things I haven't covered before. And I'm excited just to see how I grow. I think that's the most exciting part for me.
All right, now what are you looking forward to most about the city of Richmond?
I think, as I said, I'm a big foodie and they have the best restaurants. They have so many food places. And when I visited, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to, try everything and everything food related. So that was super awesome. And just like it's a huge city. So there's so much going on, so many events, so many people. I think I'm just excited to be immersed in this new culture in this new city and find friends and all of that stuff. So I think just overall I'm excited about everything.
How's it been looking for some of your fellow journalism students in your graduating class? Have any of them secured jobs too, or have they run into some issues at all?
Yeah, they have. A few accepted before me, and I feel like I was pretty fast in signing a contract. So last we spoke was early January, and then I signed my contract March 4th. So it really wasn't too much of a turnaround from when we last spoke until I signed the contract. And then one of my friends, she signed, I think a few weeks before I did, and then it kind of just kept trickling in. My news station here, WUB, they always post kind of senior spotlights of their graduates and where they're going for their job. But yeah, I think everyone really had a great experience. I don't really know of anyone that had a bad one. So I think that was super, super exciting. I'm really just overall proud of everyone and where they're ending up to. It's just amazing to see everyone succeed and really, step forth into their future. And I couldn't be happier for them.
Last we talked, you hadn't worked on your final reel just yet, but obviously you published it since then because that's how you got your job. You did a very good job because I saw it right when it came out. So talk about the process of putting that together. How long did that take and how did you go about it? Kind of talk about what it took to put that final reel together.
Absolutely. Yes. So when I started my reel, I definitely wanted to stand out. And then I knew in the beginning of the reel it has to be fast paced. So I wanted to put stand-ups in there. I wanted to put moving stand-ups. That was a key thing. And what I've just learned from the past years, they want to see you move. They want to see you explain. They want to see your creativity. And that's definitely what I wanted to showcase. And so the process of that, it took me a few days total to put it together. but I enjoyed every minute of it because it was kind of just showing me, what I did the past few years, and I was super proud of it. I edited it on Adobe Premiere, and I think it was roughly like 8 minutes, and I think 5 to 10 is the mark usually people want to see that at. So mine was around 8, as I said. And I don't know, I think at the end I was just super proud of it, and I was really happy the way it turned out.
Any changes you made between your junior reel and your final reel?
Oh my gosh, yes. So from my internship last summer, I got a lot of footage regarding stand-ups and news packages. So all of that new stuff I added to my reel now. I took out all of my anchor videos because I was solely looking for a reporter position. I hope to anchor at some point in my career, but just from the advice that I've been given, you can add it, but it's not necessary. So I decided to take it out and showcase more of, my stand-ups and my packages and things like that.
So any advice you might have for someone watching this who's looking to put together their own reel?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when they are starting the process of creating the reel, I think the first 30 to 45 seconds is super crucial. You definitely need to have eye-catching videos, moving videos regarding stand-ups, and just put your best work forth. I think, your reel is to showcase your best work. And if you do that, I think you're set.
So while we have you, briefly talk about what your last semester at Ohio has been like as you get ready to close the book on your college journey. Any stories you've done for college in your last semester that you're particularly proud of?
So yes, my final semester, it's been amazing. I couldn't ask for better friends, better work friends, professors. So yeah, overall, it's just been a really awesome semester. I'm currently in my senior capstone, and in that capstone, I have to do 8 different news stories, and then also turn all of those 8 into news web stories and radio stories. So I think I'm on number 6 out of 8. So I have a few weeks left to get those final 2 in. But yeah, I've covered some really awesome things. I just finished a elementary demolition school story, and they're putting in a new soccer field. That was the whole angle. I did a substitute bus driver shortage story. I did a SNAP benefit update story. Yeah, I think every story I've produced and done this semester, I'm super proud of. And I told myself I'm really going to put a lot of effort towards these because I kind of want to test my limits and see what I'm capable of before I start my job. Because I have a little bit of a turnaround from when I graduate to my job, but I definitely wanted to put my best work forth before I leave, because I want to obviously leave a legacy of my name here before I leave too. So I think I've just really put a lot of effort in these stories, and I'm super proud of them.
All right, so as you get ready to start your job, and as you get ready to graduate, are you feeling any excitement, any nervousness? How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling more excited than nervous. As I said, I'm ready to go, but sad to leave. Yeah, I'm just excited for this next chapter and really doing it. I think I'm ready. I think I have the skill set, and I'm really excited to just start my new life.
So finally, do you have any advice for students as they get ready to search for a job based on your own experience?
Yes. So definitely put your reel out on YouTube. That helped me tremendously in the beginning. And then next, kind of definitely research which companies, own what stations, and see their benefits, see their pay, their hourly pay. I think that was definitely crucial in the beginning to do my research and to see what stations I would even be considering applying for. I think knowing what what company owns what station is super crucial in in your decision ultimately, because it's your life. It's you obviously have to know your benefits and your pay, obviously. So that's super important. So definitely do your research, put your reel out on YouTube. Another really great parent company is Gray, and they have a Gray portal you can put your reel and resume into, and news directors get notified when you do so, and they can kind of watch your reel, go over your resume, and then reach out to you if they want to. So that was a super fast way to get news directors in your email box, if to say that. And then moving forward through the process, when you are deciding what station to go to, just go with your gut. Definitely watch the newscast. That's one of the biggest things I think sometimes people don't realize. You have to watch it and see, how they tell their stories, how they basically give you the news. And I think definitely just reiterating, that was one of my key factors in choosing Richmond, is just I loved their newscast.
Let me follow up on that, because now I'm curious. You were going online, I guess, and watching their newscast before you signed the contract?
Yes.
Did you also go on and watch any of their competitor newscasts as well?
I did actually. I did. And I thought that, I have nothing bad to say about any of them, but I really just loved Richmond's newscast. I loved their evening newscast, their morning newscast. I definitely looked at certain reporters and how they told their stories, and I definitely felt like I meshed with that. And so that was a really great factor.
All right. Well, thanks for updating us, and congratulations to you for landing this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, we're so happy for you. We love to keep following along as your journey progresses. Maybe, hopefully, in a year or two, we can have you back and you can update us on how it's been in Richmond.
Absolutely. I would love to.
And I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Madison. She was really interesting to listen to and get her thoughts about how today's journalism students perceive the industry. And we'll pick it up next week on episode 13 of Broadcast Bulletin, as we welcome in Andre Lacey, a journalism senior at the University of Memphis, and another student undeterred about entering the industry despite all the challenges it's currently facing.
For me, this is where I wanted to do since I was 8 years old. I thought I wanted to be an attorney, and changed my mind, and this has been something that I wanted to do.
Hear his outlook on the industry and so much more. It's part 2 of our special series of journalism students' take on local TV news next week on episode 13 of Broadcast Bulletin.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests in this episode of Broadcast Bulletin are solely theirs. They do not reflect those of their past or present employers, nor those of Broadcast Bulletin or its hosts in any way.
Okay, cool. I know. Let's just do the whole interview over. Why don't we?
Right. I need to set aside like 2 more hours.
I know, right?